You just admitted that several of the thumb drives were actually left in the machine and had to be retrieved by deputies the following day. That left those thumb drives unaccounted for and unsupervised for over a 12-hour period.
But
Follow it?
I am. But you know what? We have an electronic code book that prints the name of everybody that voted. If that sheet does not match what is on there,
I get that. But vote can be switched. On those thumb drives, it put into the computer. We know that to be a fact. So that they were unaccounted, they were,
well, you know, you can contest. You can do a written contest. And, okay.
Well, that's the way.
That's how you do it. Go ahead and do the contest so you can go through this ballot and everything.
That surround the night of November the 8th.
Okay.
And more specifically, these 21 precincts that falls under Toni Johnson.
Not all of them.
Thank you.
We have had instances where the bag didn't come in.
Right.
But we didn't wait till Wednesday to retrieve it. We made sure that we had a deputy that went out that night with an election commissioner to that precinct. Okay? We didn't wait 12 hours later to try to retrieve it. The other thing that comes to mind is that those thumb drives that are missing, they're also missing the coded tabs that they're supposed to be sealed in whenever they deliver. Oh, so we deliver thumb drives that aren't properly sealed?
They're sealed inside the machine.
Thumb
They're in the
drives are
machine.
delivered in the machine itself.
And the machine is
And the
sealed.
machine is
And it's
sealed.
sealed.
And locked.
So
it's
that
never
machine
been-
was never sealed.
Yeah, it was.
Yes,
The
was.
seal
All
was
the
still
machines
there.
were sealed.
Okay.
So not, they couldn't scan the ballot.
Were you there on election night?
No, but
No, I'm asking you a question.
but
Were you
these are
there?
things that we're going to be looking
I'm gonna ask
for.
just one question of you. Were you there when the voting machines and the electronic poll box and the ballot bag and the supply bag came in on Tuesday night? Were you there?
No,
at
but I
election
do
day?
know from y'all's testimony right now that these bags were not retrieved until
No.
No, not the
That's
bag.
not
That's
the
not the
machine.
bag.
No.
Not
the
the machine.
machines were.
No.
No, ma'am. Just
Okay,
the thumb
wrong
drive.
term.
No.
Wrong term.
Just
The
the thumb drive
machine.
inside the
The
machine.
machine was not retrieved until Wednesday.
The machines
With the
themselves,
thumb drive.
right? The machines themselves with the thumb drive they go out prior to, and they are not picked up. You don't have one
They're
here
being
to show
picked up
you.
now.
They're being picked up at the very moment.
Okay, so when did you
But-
retrieve the thumb drives with all the ballots
They
on
came
it?
in that night. The majority of them came in on
That
Tuesday
one
night.
was,
That's not what you said
I said one was picked
Yeah.
up on Wednesday.
You said there were 3 that were picked up on Wednesday.
And I don't know about the other 2. I just know about the one for my
Okay,
district that
she
I
did
went
say there
and
were 3
picked
that
up.
were picked up on Wednesday, which it's still a puzzle to me why we didn't send a deputy out there so that they would be in the possession of the courthouse on election night.
Let me tell you one reason, one answer to that is, a deputy went with me out to precinct 54. And one reason why they might not have come back on that night because the building was locked. You couldn't get entrance into the building.
Your election commissioners, you have
the
access
precinct was
to
locked.
the polling place.
The precinct was locked. The precinct was locked. And you couldn't get into it until the next morning. That's one answer that I could give you.
I'm hearing excuses.
No, that's not excuses, those are answers.
Why did they lock it?
They lock it after they poll the close and the poll managers leave for the night. Whoever, if it's at a church or if it's at a fire station, if it's at a school, once the election is over with and once everybody, all the poll managers at that precinct gather all the material, get the ballot box, and leave the precinct or leave the facility, people come and lock the doors. Yes, ma'am.
That's why we want to call it more than, but the commissioner that was responsible, is responsible, that the district was not there to pull the. And I said several times, finally convinced Clark and Brown, leave them alone. Because if anything is missing, she's going to say we did. It took me a long time to convince them, you all. Didn't put my hand on not one, because I knew what was going to happen.
Let's make one thing clear. Those 21 precincts that you were talking about, all but 3 of them flash drives was there in the courthouse. They were there inside the courthouse. Commissioner Johnson came the next morning. She went into her precinct's bags where the media seats were and located them and gave them to the ES&S personnel who then input them from the drive. When we have the paperwork from the DS200, they can be tabulated and counted through the electronic software system, which is ES&S. So there was no vote lost during this election, whether we had those 2 or 3 thumb drives or not. We have a backup system, the electronic poll booth, record everything that goes into the DS200. If you have 100 votes on the DS200, you have 100 votes on the electronic poll booth. Because people have to sign and issue a ballot, so those ballots are counted on the electronic poll booth. They were all electronic poll books were in.
The only reason why I didn't go back that night was I had to run a poll on Tuesday because the polling people did not show up at Tier 2. And I didn't get to the courthouse until after 9 o'clock. So that's why I didn't know I was missing a polling thumb drive until probably around 12 o'clock. Yes.
Brenda.
They are in the end, yes. And
Okay.
the lady at the end of the table there, you mentioned about everything being put in either black bag or the other bag. I want to know that I'm asking, who put it in the bag? Are they held accountable? I mean, how do you know everything got in the bag?
Yeah.
That's my question.
Yeah. We have a checklist we check off. Everything is checked off.
Do you mean before the election?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, we pack our bags.
Okay, like, there's someone, they're under accountability to make sure everything gets in the bag.
Right.
Now, I don't want you to leave with the idea that the poll managers themselves pack their bags.
No.
No, they don't.
We pack our
They're
bags.
picked up right here last Monday between 3 and 6 o'clock.
We take them all outside. We have a warehouse back here where we pack, but right now the bags are still at the courthouse.
But they are under accountability.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
To who?
To us, we pack our bags for the election. We make sure stuff is done that's supposed to be inside the bag. We check the bag. The last thing we drop inside the bag is the manual poll book in case there's a power outage, and the ballots to make sure the right ballots are in the right bag. That's the very last thing we do before we steal them.
Yes, ma'am.
Famous observation, but I think too that there's a different definition in unaccounted for and uncounted, because when it went out election night that things were unaccounted for, it gave the impression that things were lost. When in actuality, what it sounds like, and what I talked to the circuit clerk with, and what our story reflected last week, was that they were simply not counted.
That's exactly
These
right.
21 precincts. It wasn't that they were unaccounted for, that we know what they were.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
You conveyed what the circuit clerk, which is an elected official, responsible for elections, and what the election commissioners have just told you, and there was accountability for everything. Like I said, the 21 that said it wasn't there was actually there, except for the 2 or 3 thumb drives. And when I went back out to my precinct, the deputy carried me out there, Deputy Nate Ross. The polling place was closed. Once we leave the polling location, whatever facilities that we are, once we walk out of the building, they lock the door. Or either whoever is at that facility, who owns or manages that facility, come and they're there when we leave most of the time. Once we walk out, they lock the door for the safety of the building. understand is this. We are elected officials. We don't make any difference between the Brown campaign or the Humphrey campaign or the anybody's campaign. Our mission and our goal is, and our charge is to hold and conduct fair elections. And that's what we've done. We've done that. We've to our best of our ability. We have over 500 and some odd people working on election day. We hope and pray that the training that we gave them, as far as Mr. Pennybeck is concerned, we have a month and a half, almost 2 months of training that we provide for each poll manager and their, we call them crews, like in New Orleans, for Mardi Gras, we call them crews. We have extensive training, 2.5 hours on the most part. Proceed.
I hope I'm not stepping too hard on anybody's toes. But it was said that you had different colored bags. We talked about that. My question is, does anybody look through their equipment and stuff before an election to make sure everything is there? That should have happened. And obviously it didn't, because you didn't have enough black bags. So someone dropped the ball even before we started the voting process. So there's another factor that is in question. That left those bags, people thinking that 21 precincts had not been turned in. That shouldn't have happened. Is there a process to check the equipment and materials before an election ever gets started?
There is. And that's the first thing we turn on. Take everything out of your bag and look at it.
Thumb drives and bags. And the thumb drives surely are the way that the machines that count the ballots from all the precincts gets input into an electronic system.
Right.
And it is also true that when the polls are closed, certain buttons are pushed to get a paper printout of the tally of the vote for all of the candidates.
Correct.
2 copies.
Yes.
And those are signed by them by the poll managers, the poll workers. In the precincts where the flash drives were delayed, or if there's any question about flash drive arrival, were those paper printouts printed out correctly and returned with the other materials to the courthouse on Tuesday night?
Yes, they were. The thing is, the person was waiting for the thumb drive to close all the way down. They had printed all the other reports, and they put everything in the black bag except the thumb drive. So the thumb drive got left inside the machine.
But the results were actually available for
Without,
any poll worker or member of the public at
to
each
see
polling
at
place
the polling place
and at the courthouse.
and at the courthouse.
There were no missing paper.
We have a backup system, Ms. Hilligan. The backup system is the electronic poll book, which records the same thing as was recorded on the thumb drive.
And then you have the pink book that has every affidavit that is voted, and the person's printed name and their signed name. So with that list plus your affidavit, everything is correct.
Everything matches. So
I have managed polls in Hinds County for many years. I vote in Raymond, I've managed polls in Clinton, I've managed polls in Jackson, so I'm very familiar with the procedures. It's always been in a primary election. I would like to suggest to the commission, knowing that you were elected on a bipartisan ballot, that is, you don't have a party next to your name. We would like our commission, in the interest of credibility and trust, to be bipartisan. So far as I know, I've never been asked to manage a poll in a general election, despite the fact I've done it many, many times in primaries.
Well, I didn't know that because I was looking for a poll manager.
Well, I would be happy to, but I want to ask this commission to purposefully look for ways to conduct your business on a bipartisan manner. That is, with poll managers on the general election day. And I have also served on a resolution committee for the party to resolve affidavit and absentee ballots. And it's done with at least 3 people.
Yes.
I don't know how you do it, but I want to challenge you to do that openly and in a bipartisan way.